Okay. So welcome to A Producer's Life in Uganda. We are starting at 2 p.m. sharp. And I've just been speaking to William Blay, also known as Dr. William. But the line has cut off. So I will just see if he's able to come back in. He's got the link to be able to come back in. So let me go ahead and let people know that this is on already, and then we can move forward from there. We'll see who keeps on coming to the room. If you're in the room, if you come into the room, then please do let me know who is here by writing a message in the chat box. And that will, I'll speak louder because there's a bit of noise there, and that will let us know who's in there and who would like to contribute to the chat. So I've just got that on there right now, and I'm going to send that through here. And then this should be able to let us move forward. But when Dr. William comes back, then we will start up the conversation again in Google Hangouts. He was here a few moments ago, and I believe he got a phone call, so it sort of kicked him off the system. But definitely he will be coming back so that we can explore this topic. So this is how it came about. So for those of you in here, I will just explain how this came about and what we're actually doing here today. We are going to talk about a video that William Blay, and the link to his video is below in the description box. A video that he did about the main purpose of dressing. That was the title of the video, the main purpose of dressing. Now he is in a WhatsApp group that I'm in, so he posted the video. I was able to click on it and watch the video fully, and I left a comment. Now, before I actually pressed submit to the comment, I decided to send the comment to William just to make sure that he understood the intentions of the comment, because the comment was very long and it was just discussing different different things and different viewpoints, and just really just exploring the topic that he had raised. And I thought, this would be quite interesting to have as a discussion and to be able to explore the roots of what he was saying. And hi, Irina. Nice to have you on board. So I was just talking about the background as to why I'm doing this. I watched the video posted on the African YouTubers WhatsApp group, and the video was done by William Blay, and it was called The Main Purpose of Dressing. The link for that video is below, so feel free to watch that video so that you see what the video is about. And then I also have another video because a few weeks before this, I was just on my way to, I think, an interview or something like that, and I somehow went on to the topic of of dress codes and different dress codes in different cultures, and some are acceptable in some cultures and some are not in other cultures. But how do we treat each other based on that? So I thought, oh, this would be quite interesting to have an open discussion to explore some of those options and to explore some of those ideas and thoughts and values, and to get audience participation as well, so that people can contribute as to their thoughts and the impact that this topic could have on our lives. So that's the main purpose of the Hangout today. I was speaking to Dr. William Blay just a few moments ago on Google Hangouts, but he's dropped off. So I will see if we can get him back on again, and then I'll ask him to introduce his channel, tell us what his channel's about, and then we can go into sort of the reasons why he was inspired to make the video, just to get a summary of what he said, because some of you might not be able to watch it, but what he, the summary of what he said in the video. And then we can then open up the discussion. We could open it up to the floor. Anybody in the chat that has anything to say, if they've watched the video specifically, which I would urge you to do, go and watch the video. And then we can just take it from there. But I think it should be an interesting topic, and it should be something that we can learn from, and we can sort of explore ideas, explore different views, explore different ideologies, and hopefully walk away with a better understanding of people, of life, and of how we can relate to one another in this global nation, in this global world. So just a quick question, Arina, have you watched the video? I think it's about 4 minutes long, something along those lines. And we're hoping that technology will be on our side today to help William come back into the Google Hangouts. But let's just see how that goes. If not, then we'll just have a backup where we can read through the chats when he's in the chat and do it that way. We have other people who could come on board as well to talk. And really, this is an open discussion. It's a place where you should all feel free to air your opinions. Just make sure that if you're leaving anything in the comments, that it's nothing that will cause this chat to have a strike, a YouTube strike. So no, I think, I don't know what the policies are, but no offensive words or things like that. So, but again, it's all about having that discussion, having those ideas put forward so that we can all learn from each other and see the reasons for our thoughts and ideas. So let me go back to the YouTube page. Yep, the video is in the comment box below, so you can watch that. And it's the first video. And then if you share this out as well, so that anybody who wants to come in to discuss and to give their views and their thoughts, then they are free to do that. They are free to do that. Okay, I'm just going to go to one more place on so So here we go. Let's just kick off and let's just start, and we'll see if William is able to get back in again. Let me just give him a quick call. We'll see if he's able to get back in. But yeah, go to his channel, see the kind of stuff that he does, but I'll hopefully be able to get him back on to tell you what his show is about. What his channel is about, who he is, and what inspired him to make the video. But let me just see if he'll pick up now so that we can sort of officially start. If not, then we'll just take another route and open that discussion after Arena TL vibes, or Arena TL watches the video. Then Arena, then hopefully I can get you in to sort of share your views and your thoughts, and we can go from there. But apart from that, hello everyone. Thank you for joining. And thank you very much for joining. Thank you very much for coming in to discuss. And it should be an interesting one, especially if you contribute to the chat box and leave your comments, leave your thoughts, your ideas, questions as well. If you have questions, put them in there and I'll be able to read them out. And I'm sort of here as a moderator to throw in suggestions, throw in ideas, and get the discussion moving on that way. So here we go. So the video, in summary, that William did, and his website is called William Blay. He was talking about the purpose of clothes. Why do we have clothes? And he'll be able to reiterate what he says if he comes back on. But he was talking about the purpose of clothes, and that the fact that clothes are there to cover up our nakedness. And he was encouraging women specifically, although at the end of it he did talk about guys with baggy jeans, but he was encouraging women specifically to cover up their nakedness, not allow parts of their bodies to be seen. And so that was the general gist of it. I gave the story of a lady who went to the parliament, Ghanaian parliament, and who was sacked. Although I think I might have misunderstood that bit. I think maybe she was told, I don't know whether she worked there or whether she was visiting. It seemed like they were in a queue, so she could have been a tourist. But I think what he meant, and he would clarify that up for himself, but I think what he meant was that the person was pulled, aside from the line and told to that they weren't allowed to go in, or told to change their clothing. So we'll get some clarification on what by sacked, what that means, because it could be a slang. So we'll get some clarification on what that means. And yes, so it's just looking at that situation as well, what we think about that, and what, if anything, they could have done differently maybe. And just exploring that a little bit as well, because I would really like to find more details about that particular situation. And then we'll just throw it out there to the room, throw it out there to the chat as to what people think about the topic. What are their experiences? What are your experiences? What are the, for example, your values, your exceptions to the rule, the circumstances that you found yourself in that maybe have made you question what you thought would have been acceptable. Answering questions like, what is smart? What is decent? What is smart? And who sets the standards? So these are all interesting things that we can explore a bit further and we can delve into. And so if you've watched the video and you have any questions straight off, then just put them in the comment section, not the comment section, put them in the chat box of the live, of this live event there. And hopefully you can get the general gist of the video, even if you just watch it for 3 minutes. You should be able to get the general gist and the general sort of encouragement that was being passed on. Okay, so William should be coming back in again. And he should be working. I'm just telling him to click the link again. So I should be hearing his voice anytime soon. Let's see if I can hear his voice. The other thing I probably will need are headphones so that I can hear his voice and it doesn't come through to my speaker and give feedback. So let me see if I can just grab a pair of headphones from inside the house and make that work better. Here we go. And then you'll stop hearing that doo-doo noise as well. Okay, right. I've got my headphones in and I'm just waiting for William to come into the Google Hangouts chat. Aha, here we go. Hi, William.
Hello.
Hey, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
So, it's nice that everyone
Let me
can.
off my video. Let me off my video.
Yeah, because if you put your video off, then we should have a better connection.
Okay. Hello.
Hello. If you look on the top bar, oh, there you go. Yes, you worked it out. So I was just telling everyone, I was just going through the run through of. Hold on, I was just going through the run through of what we're going to do, and I was just talking about how I will introduce you so you can tell us what your YouTube channel is. Then you can tell us what you do with your YouTube channel. What does it, what do you aim to do with your YouTube channel, the purpose of it. And then we'll talk about what inspired you to make the video titled The Main Purpose for Dressing. And then we can just go into discussions about the topic and invite people in the chat to ask questions.
Okay.
So I'm trying to get it so that it doesn't just stay on my voice.
Okay.
Let me just fix this and then. Okay, so tell me, what is your name and what's the name of your YouTube channel?
Please, my name is William Blay, known as Dr. William. My YouTube channel, the purpose for my YouTube channel is an educational channel. Educates people about especially Christian life That's the main purpose for the channel, and our personal life, what we should do, how we should carry ourselves, biblical rules that God have what set for us to follow, so that we will not what lose our eternity life that we are one day expecting to enjoy. So that's the main purpose sorry, for the channel, sir.
Okay, thank you for explaining that. And I've watched your content. Obviously, the reason why we're here today is because you're part of a WhatsApp group for African YouTubers. You posted your video on the group chat. I clicked on it, I watched it, and I was going to leave a comment there on the topic. And that particular video was the main purpose of dressing.
Yeah, the the topic of the new video was the main purpose of dressing. You know, when you look at Genesis, when Adam and Eve, you know, when God created Adam, that's the first man on earth. Like, we're not to believe that they were naked. We're told in the Bible, and can be find the Bible, that they were naked when God created them. But when they the, the now their eyes opened, and it was then they were able to differentiate good and bad. So they found out that they just plucked some leaves to cover themselves. So when God came to call them, He asked them, "Where are you?" They said, "Oh, they were naked." So we can say God what used what to form a cloth to cover them. So at that time, man got to realize that what he is naked. So therefore, he need to what cover himself.
Okay, so I have a
So,
question for you.
okay.
So I have a question for you. Does that mean then that, because obviously when God created Adam and Eve, he said that everything that he created in the earth was good.
Yeah.
But at that point, Adam and Eve were naked. They were still naked. They hadn't eaten of the fruit.
Yeah.
So, in essence, then my question is, does that mean then nakedness, naturalness, the way we come out of our mother's womb, nakedness in itself is good? From the
Yeah.
origins, nakedness is good.
Now, looking at our era, you see, when they were not sinned, at that time, their eyes were not open. Okay, you understand. But the moment they ate the food that God asked them not to eat, and their eyes open, now they are now come to know good and bad. You understand? So now that era has passed. So right now, the moment even a child is giving birth, you are being. He said, "In sin, my mother would conceive me." You understand? So when a child grow
Hmm?
up, that begin to know good and bad, that is when you introduce Christ into the person, for the person to know God. You understand? So right now,
Okay. So,
we put on the clothes, to cover our nakedness. You understand? We ought to be to be decent before our maker. And as human being, as we are, or as Christian, we are here representing Christ on earth. That's why as Christian we have to lead a Christ-like life. Now you said you are wearing
so that's
clothes,
sorry.
you've
That's
covered.
hello,
You said you have wear
hello.
clothes, or you want to buy expensive clothes, or you saw the clothes, and you say you are you have covered yourself. Once you have exposing yourselves, especially breast or some parts being shown up. You see, I gave a scenario in my video that before me, a lady was sacked from a parliament house due to her dressing, and even a parliament house.
Can I jump in there? Can you just explain what you mean by sacked? Was she working there at the Parliament House?
No, she was just like in our parliament, as when there is some meeting going on or sitting, when parliamentarians are sitting having some debate or discussion, citizen can go in to witness the what the sitting. You understand? So she's
Yes.
just in yes as a, let's say, not make it a visitor or what, to witness what they're sitting, which is what going on. She was sacked. And you have what, a dressing code that you can send to your parameters. Well dressed with
When you say sacked, what do you mean by the word sacked?
she was sacked. Yeah, they returned her to go home and go and change, to go and dress well. Because
Okay,
her
so they they
dressing,
they ejected. They told her to leave the area and to go home.
yeah, yeah,
Okay, so she wasn't working there. She wasn't like an employee, and then they told her you don't work here anymore. It was a visitor who was told,
yeah,
please
yeah,
leave because you're not dressed properly.
yeah.
Okay. Now we have a question. So
Okay,
we have a question from the chat room.
okay.
Um, so we've got a question from Erina TL. She said, Dr. William, I would like you to address the issue of culture because there are cultures where what you call nakedness is okay and has been since time memorial. So you understand the question? So in some places, like for example, the Amazonian rainforest, or in parts of rural Kenya, Maasai tribes, those sorts of areas, it's acceptable for a woman's breasts to be exposed. The breasts aren't seen as anything sinful or bad. So she wants you to address the issue of culture. Does that have any bearing on your thoughts?
Now we should we should understand that you see now they have made something like this. We have culture. You understand? But our culture have nothing to do with what Christianity. My main topic was about we, because let me remind you, this culture and the superstitions, belief, and those kind of things, you understand, will never and ever send us to what, to heaven. Okay, when Christ came to this earth, he came to die to pay for our sins. So therefore, we are supposed to what, ignore the affection of the world, the things of the world, and follow what him. He said, if you love me, take thy cross and what, and follow me. You understand? We are here as what, as visitors on this earth, and one day, so our main purpose on this earth is to serve our maker in truth and what, and in spirit, the rightful way.
Okay, so
He said,
if I can summarize your answer to Arena TL. So your answer is that as a believer, then you are to put aside whatever the culture is and adopt whatever Christ has asked you to do. Is that correct?
yeah, because
Okay.
let's say
So we
I'm coming.
hello. So
Can I
yes,
support my answer with something?
yes,
Let's say
sure.
you say you were a believer, and in your, it says it has something to call culture or traditions, and there is some festival going on, and you have to produce a drink or an alcohol. Are you going to do that? You are you getting me? You yourself, you call yourself a Christian or a believer. Once you say you don't drink, you don't smoke, you don't do all those kind of things, but you are buying for people to what, to go and drink.
Okay, so
Are you getting?
I've got your point there, and I've got what your
Uh-huh.
answer was to Arena Tail Vibes. So my question then to you, then, as a result of that, is the culture that you have adopted seems to be a Western culture. So, for example, from your picture, you're wearing a suit. Is that correct? You like wearing suits?
Oh, listen, the culture here doesn't deal with oh, we have African wear that we wear. You understand?
So the
Hope you are
question then
getting
is,
it.
if we put culture aside, it then becomes difficult to put culture aside then, doesn't it? Because in Africa, we've got African wear, we've got European wear, so a suit and a shirt and a tie. You've got African wear, you could wear, the Ankara, you could wear, I know in Ghana, they have like the king, they would wear like a wrapper that goes over the shoulder. Is that correct? And they would hold.
Mm-hmm.
So in that sense, then because we are in the world, you have to align yourself to a particular culture, whether this Western culture or the African culture or the Asian culture. So Irina's question was, how about culture in terms of dress code? Because if somebody is wearing African attire to the office, that particular
Mm-hmm.
office might embrace African attire as formal wear. But another
Mm-hmm.
office might say, no, you have to go with European culture and only wear a
Oh
suit
no,
and
no,
a tie.
no, no,
So how
no,
does that work?
no, no, no. You putting on an African wear. Okay. African is a very nice what do you call it wear. Put it on, making sure that what you are well covered. You yourself, you are what do you call. Well, let me ask this question: why do you wear clothes? Why you understand? Why do you wear clothes? The clothes. What's the main purpose for you wearing it? You
Okay,
understand? Our main purpose is to cover ourselves. You get
okay.
it. If getting out, yeah, you
Yes, so
bought
that
the
was.
African wear, the wrapper to
Mhm.
the seamstress to sew it.
Oh, okay.
Then you went to give the seamstress star that
Okay.
just cut it
Okay, God bless you.
to my task level. That this thing shape it to the extent that I hope you know where I am now, what I'm talking about.
I understand what you're saying, but I still need to get an answer to Irina's question, which was that culture has a part to play. And if you're talking about African wear, then you can look at certain tribes in Africa, maybe the Maasai tribe or whichever different tribes, where it is acceptable for a woman's breasts to be exposed. There's nothing bad about it, there's nothing sinful about it. And in fact, that is decent. It's very decent. So that there is part of the culture. And if we go back to my initial question about
Okay.
God made Adam and Eve, they were naked and they were good when they were naked. It was because of the deception of the serpent, then the taking of the fruit. That's the only time that the perception of having to cover up came in. Not because God told them to cover up. God didn't tell them go and cover up now. It was man himself that felt something within him that made him feel like he had to hide from God. Whereas God himself didn't say go and cover up before they did. So a woman or a man, in fact, in a rural area who's walking around what we would call half naked, is that person doing something wrong?
Like, is that person doing? Just come again. Said, is that person doing?
Is that person doing something wrong by wearing, wearing traditional wear where the breasts or the penis is out? And in that community, everybody walks like that. It's not anything sexual. It's not anything sinful. That person who is dressing like that, according to their tribe, is that person doing something wrong?
I would say yes.
Okay, so your answer is yes. Why? Why? What makes you believe that that person is doing something wrong? What is the standard that you're using to judge that that person is doing something wrong?
Yeah, I would say yes because in you've dressed and you said you live as a woman, so you have lived your breast on. Is that the question, right? The nipple was out, right?
Yes, but in that community, everybody has the same thing in that community. Everybody is dressed the same way.
Yeah, one thing is such a place, okay, such a place, I would say the gospel haven't reached that particular. So therefore, their ancestral belief and all those things, they are still living by it. I hope you are getting my point. Okay. So such people, you could see that what they don't know Christ, they don't know who God is. Okay. I hope you are getting it.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Please, did you get my point? Such a place, yeah, such a place. You can see that the word having what haven't reached there because they knew nothing about what about it.
Hello, sorry, just one moment. I seem to have muted you. Let me try and get you back up again. Oh, how do we do that? Okay, just one moment because I can't hear you. Okay, Dr. William, if you can hear me, try and go out and come back in again because I can't seem to unmute you. Okay, just one moment. Okay, try and hang up and then come back in again if you can hear me. If you can hear me, try and hang up and then come back in again. So from what I was getting there from Dr. William, what he was saying was that even those people that are in different areas, maybe tribes or whatever, that his belief is that they haven't received the gospel yet and they don't know God. And as a result of that, that's why they feel comfortable to wear. Oh, no, just one moment. I've got him on the phone. Hi, William. If you come out of the chat and then come back in again, because your microphone is muted, and I can't unmute it. So you have to drop and then come back in again, if you don't mind. Oh no, but you didn't drop off. You have to come out. Hang up and then come back out. Okay. Okay, so we're going to get Dr. William back in a moment, but yes, do put your questions down in the inbox there. And I think what he was saying was that people out there haven't received the gospel yet, and as a result of that, that's why he believes that it's still wrong that the way they are dressing. So we'll come back when he comes back on air to get some more justification for that. Because as we've rightly pointed out, as has been pointed out, Arena said, even the Jews have a culture. So for example, in the Jewish culture, it would be okay for example, a male to wear a kaftan sort of a robe. If you translated that to either British culture, a man wearing a robe would be like a dress. Hello, I can hear you now.
Hello.
I can hear you now. We've just had some discussion in the chat, So
Okay.
let me confirm what you said. You said that you believe that it's still wrong for those people that live in certain tribes or cultures who are wearing things that are that expose their body or parts of their body because you believe that they have not received Christ and they don't know God. That's why they're dressing that way. Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, now some information has come through the chat. Erina TL said that even the Jews have their own culture. And the thought that came to mind is in the Jewish culture, the men wear what you would call like a kaftan or a robe. A robe, which in other cultures, if a man was to wear that robe, it would be as if he's wearing a dress and as if he's wearing woman's clothing. So for that culture, it's okay to wear the robe and it's actually very decent and it looks nice. And the reason why they probably wear that is because it's very hot out there in the desert and they need something that's free flowing that can let air circulate around the body. Whereas in the Western culture, let's say in England, if you were to wear a dress, if a man was to wear what would be a robe or a dress out in the streets, that would look very strange. It would be like as if he's dressing like a woman. So can you see that there's a possibility that culture does have a part to play in what we consider decent or indecent?
Depending on the place. Are you getting? Depending on the place. That's why I said, you see, a place, a community, or a country where Christ is not known there. Those people, it's like they knew nothing. It's like before you, someone before you were introduced into what, into Christianity, because you knew nothing about Christianity. You think a lot of things you were doing, you think is good. You understand? I hope you are getting it.
Yes, definitely.
But when you read,
We've
yeah,
had another question
yeah.
coming from the
When
chat. We've had another question. The question is, how is the gospel connected with dressing? So you've mentioned about Christianity and about people who come into Christianity then should believe that nakedness is in some way sinful, is what I'm getting from you. But how does the gospel or Christianity, what does that have to do with people's dress code?
okay, it's connected in this form. Is it when you read when you read Peter, sorry, Hebrews, Hebrews 12:14, he said, follow peace with all men and holiness, without which no man shall see the Lord. When it comes to Romans 12, he said, do not conform yourself to the things of the world.
But be transformed by the
Yeah,
renewing of your mind.
very good.
Now, the thing with that's I'm glad you brought that up because with the transformation of the mind, again, is it not subjective? Is it not in the mind that people think that nakedness is sinful? As God created us as man naked, right? And as we
Yeah.
talked before, God created Adam and Eve naked, without clothing. And it was only when they ate of the fruit that there became
Mhm.
an issue. So the question is, we as human beings, should we find, or no, not we as human beings, but God, when God looks at man, if God was to look at a naked man in the street or a naked woman in the street, would that affect their ability to know him because they
No,
are
no,
naked
no, not
or
at
they're dressed
all.
with a
Not
long
at
thing or a
all.
short thing or a
Not at all. Not at all. You see, Christ said he came for the sinners. You understand? But because they don't know, I hope you're understanding it. Because they don't know. So for Christ's purpose of coming to this earth is for the sinners to come and save us. So they don't know, that is why we are preaching the gospel to them. We are telling them what they should do. I hope you are getting it. They will say this is fashion in the world. This is what have come up. Then why not after dressing, just after cleaning yourself, why not just come out without wearing anything? Because it's also fashion.
Oh, that's a good
Are you
question.
getting?
You do realize that there are people who are called naturalists, and who feel comfortable in their natural form,
You see?
and in their minds, the fashion, wearing clothes, and well, actually, I can't speak for that group of people, but what,
Yeah,
what
yeah.
you what, what you mentioned is that fashion is a thing. So fashion is also what the society has accepted as clothing. So the way they cut something, they call it a dress. They cut something a different way, they call it a skirt. They cut something a different way, they call it a blouse. So all of those things are also fashion, additional things that are made, right? So
Which
the question
fashion?
question is, who sets the standards? Has God particularly said, "Oh, a woman should not wear a skirt or a dress, or a man should wear trousers or not wear a robe?" So somebody was asking, how is the gospel connected with dressing? I think that was their question. So if you could answer that
Yes,
question.
yes. So it connects it in this way. Now, let me break on this side. You know, we because the people, then we add up to according to the gospel, set up something in order to keep man closer to God. Because let me tell you, naturally, somebody who is not spiritually strong, or which does not know Christ very well, the moment he tries seeing a naked part of a woman, you see, he become what so attracted. You understand? So he started thinking, this woman have to get her. This woman have to do that. Are you getting it? Now, whenever you have a sexual intercourse with someone who you are not legally married to, you have committed what you call fornication, and fornication too is sin. So for us to prevent ourselves from all this, in order to fall into all this kind of temptation. Let me remind you, somebody was saying that what are people like now? American people go naked. Yeah, you see, when you are in the world, you are what? You are blind. Seriously, the devil is doing all that he can in order to drag people. Because when you read the Bible, it said, "For the devil came to steal, to kill, and to destroy."
Okay, so
You you are, you are, you are,
so you raised an interesting point
so
there, being that, hello.
all these things hello, all these things what are putting in place in order to help us, so that we will not fall into the the
Diverse
faction of
temptation.
what of, please, do you get my point?
I totally get your point. So now you've raised a very interesting issue. You said that the reason for sort of people having to dress a certain way is so that other people don't get tempted and don't want to have sexual intercourse with them.
How are you
Am I
moving?
correct?
Okay, please, can you give it a minute actually?
Sure, sure, sure.
Yeah, can you give me a minute? Actually, I'm headed to my room so that
Okay,
we can yeah, thank you.
okay,
I will join soon.
okay. So I'll just
Okay.
summarize what we've just talked about. So, um, oh, let me see if I can put that on mute without. Okay, there we go. So, I think what was being said there, which I'm trying to drill into, was that William was talking about that the reason why people should wear certain things is so that other people aren't tempted or other people aren't forced to look at them sexually. So then, which goes back to the point, of who sets the standard. Somebody wearing a top that covers their chest and trousers that covers their legs all the way to the bottom, but the top is on their body. It's just a normal blouse, and you can see the shape of their breasts out of it. Somebody would say that is still not appropriate, that they should wear a burqa, they should wear a kaftan, something big, where you can't even see any shape at all of the woman coming out, and that would be acceptable. So where is the standard? Who sets the standard? And if we go back again to being transformed by the renewing of your mind, then if you as an individual have an issue with being able to control your sexual urges, then that's something that you would probably need to work on for yourself, because regardless of whether someone is covered up or not covered up, you probably wouldn't be able to control yourselves regardless of that everybody in the whole world was covered up. The other thing is it realistic to expect that everyone where you are going to will be covered up? And if they're not covered up, then what are you going to do about it? How are you going to control your own sexual urges so that you're not able to control yourself, and therefore you might end up raping someone because you're like, oh my goodness, they were showing me their toes and that turned me on, and as a result of them showing their toes, I had to attack them.
Hello.
Hello, you back
Hello.
now?
Yeah. I was actually I had a couple of comments or messages. Example about what I said. To make clarification, or I said due to some ways, you understand, people who are not spiritual strong, because somebody that is a sinner, you understand, somebody that is a sinner, you are not expecting the person to just believe whatever that you say just now, unless you teach the person the word of God, and also help the person to study the word of God by him or herself. It is good we study the Bible ourselves, not always depending on what our pastors tells us or preach us, so that we will
That's very true.
understand. So that we will understand the Bible or the word of God ourselves. You get it?
Yes, totally. So then the question
You
comes
are
back.
not expecting somebody.
Go ahead.
You are not expecting somebody who does not know God.
You're getting.
Yeah.
Okay, then.
Please excuse me.
Okay. So I will let William finish that sentence, but
I'm on live now.
I'm not expecting somebody who doesn't know God. We'll see what he's going to say, but I think that he would say to live by those standards. So the question did come in by Director Van Crush as to how does the gospel connect with dressing? So if you are teaching somebody the gospel, or you're helping them to learn the ways that where is it in the Bible that specifically defines the dress code or shows you what is acceptable and what isn't acceptable. So I think that's what we could sort of try and find out as to, is there anything that is specific that will help someone say, okay, now this is my culture, but there's a reason that God doesn't want me to either wear my sandals because of X, Y, and Z, or wear my hair in a certain way, or wear
Hello, please, are you
trousers,
there?
skirt, or whatever.
Hello, please, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Please, I can hear you.
Now, the
So,
question I
like,
had for you, you were just
sorry.
about to finish a sentence.
Yeah, please. I will. Firstly, I would like to apologize to your followers. I'm very sorry for the inconveniences. Actually, I'm outside. I'm outside. Actually, that is why you see me on and off, on and off. I'm very sorry for that.
That's okay.
Yeah. So, I was saying,
You're going to say that you
no,
can't expect somebody who doesn't believe.
yeah. You see, you are not expecting somebody who you just met, who doesn't know anything about Christianity. You understand? To just accept the fact that drinking is not good, doing this is no. It isn't like that. And let me remind you, we all that before Christianity came, it's like we, our forefathers who never knew Christ, that they were doing their own thing because they don't know. You understand? But we, unfortunately, for God being so good for us, fortunately, we have come to know what Christ, the Messiah, the Savior of the world. We should get this one right. That our purpose on this earth is like we are like visitors. We read the Bible, it said, from dust you came from, and from dust you return to. Because, listen, from the body to return to the dust, but the soul, that's the breath that God gave it to Adam when He created him. For that soul to go back to the Savior. And He said, it is appointed for man to die once, and after that, there's what? Judgment. When you die now, your soul is going to face judgment. It's going to give an account. Now, what have you asked yourself? What account are you what? Are you going to give it to your maker? So all these things are what? Is like should I say rules? Because when you read the Ten Commandments, the Ten Commandments are rules to what? To guide us, to help us in order to serve God. Because God said, "Be holy, for I am what? I am holy." God is like it's like between God and Satan. It's like brackets. You know, as especially those that are married, will you expect your husband or your wife to cheat on you? Is a question. Will you? Of course, no. Look at the way those that are married react when they see their partners were cheating. How painful it caused them, and see the way they reacting. So it's the same thing as you, Christ being, let's say, your wife or your husband, or you being a wife or husband to Christ, and you are cheating. Cheating on him is doing the things of the devil. Please, people, are you getting me?
Okay, so
See the
so with
see
that,
how painful it
that's
so
very
trying
good
to
how you've explained that.
yeah.
So going back again to, because I really want to sort of try and get some of these questions answered. So going back to the question from Director Van Crush, he said, how is the gospel connected with dressing? So if you are teaching somebody the gospel and you're teaching them, because obviously before they were a believer, as you say, you wouldn't expect them to have any set values or
I can't
any
hear you
set.
anymore.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Hello. Yeah, I can hear you now. So please, can you come again?
I said that before somebody becomes a Christian, you said you wouldn't expect them to adhere to any values or any sort of commandments, right?
Oh, like at this, I wouldn't expect them.
No, no. If
Like
they're not, no,
you,
if they're not
you
a
don't.
Christian, if they're not a Christian,
Uh-huh.
yeah. Now, when they become a Christian, this is now the people that you're
Yeah.
speaking to, right? So the question
Yes,
is,
please.
you're
Uh-huh.
instructing this person in the gospel. Where specifically in the gospel does it give you the standard for dress code?
Okay. So
You
if
get?
I get your question right, um, where can we find dressing code in the gospel?
Correct. Because in
Is that
Israel,
a question?
correct, yes, because in Israel, the women will dress differently as they would dress in
Okay.
Africa, as they would dress in Europe, as they would dress in China, as they would dress in Asia, as they would dress in Australia, as they would dress in rural Australia, as the Aborigines would dress, as the native Indians would dress. But you know that in all those cultures, there are people who have given their life to God and who know God, who have a personal relationship with the Holy Spirit, but they're still living in a particular
Okay.
environment and they're still dressing
Yes.
same way that they
Yeah.
were dressed in that culture. But their
Y-
spirit, not their physical body, but their spirit is aligned with the
Yeah.
Holy Spirit. So, is there anywhere in the Bible that, for example, you would say, the reason why I think wearing a suit or wearing I don't know, a long sleeve dress is more appropriate than wearing a wrapper tied, or something like that?
Let me make correction. Suit. Well, no. So please get the correction well. Do you get me? It's not like don't put on like African clothes like our African wears that we put on. But my point is putting like any clothes that you put on. You are please, are you getting it? Our main purpose is what to put on the clothes to cover our nakedness. Now, when Adam and Eve saw that their eyes is open, God knew that they have sinned. Now their eyes is open, so they know good and bad. So He Himself made what? Make a cloth that the skin of an animal to what? To cover them. So that's where dressing begins. Are you getting it? That's where the dressing what begins.
Okay,
For
so I'm getting
as
you.
for tradition, yeah, as for tradition, like when you go to India have their own way of like they
Dressing.
are like I can say in Africa we don't we for it's the Western people who came to introduce you. We have a yes that our African way when we sew it, don't sew it to expose. You see, your main purpose of dress is to cover yourself. Why are you the main purpose for or the main reason why you exposing what do you call it your sensitive part? Are you getting it? It is not
Yes.
about the specific attire that is a suit. No. The clothes that you are wearing. Okay, when you go to the now we have when you go to the those in Germany where the west part, those people came to introduce the gospel to we most of Africans. And we don't know. They came to introduce to us. But in their same country, why we have people who are not what Christian, and you see them, some even wear to the extent that even panties out. It's because they don't know the gospel. That is why. But just
Okay,
like you is
so with that,
great.
you
Those are
do have. Oh, sorry. So with that, you do
great.
have. Hello.
Hello, please, I can get you. I can hear
Yeah.
you.
So with that, as you say, there are people who maybe don't know the gospel, but um, you are aware that there are people who do know the gospel and have a very strong relationship
Hello.
with God. Who are. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
So there are people in Europe, for example, in England, who do have a strong relationship with God. They love God. They love people. They're what you'd call
Hello.
saved, born again. Hello.
Hello. Yes, please. I'm getting you.
So people that are saved or what you'd call born again would be feel comfortable and would feel happy wearing something called hot pants, for example. You've heard of hot pants or shorts, very
Like,
shorts, very short shorts during the summer here in the UK.
yeah, like wearing it, like wearing those things, going outside or wherever. You see, you say you were a Christian, you are born again. Now, with this, we are teaching to help one, we Christians, and two, people that does not know what Christ, in order to convert because they don't know. Now, you that you were a Christian, you were a representative of Christ on earth. So you should live a Christ-like life, a life that people through you, people look at you and what and transform and change from their lifestyle. the kingdom of God. Now you call yourself a Christian, and those that do not know Christ are wearing those short, exposes themselves. And you that you said you are a Christian, you are doing same. How would they travel? Because they will say that it is normal. Because this person that saying he's a Christian, go to church, even doing that, what means okay. Please, are you getting it?
Yes, I'm getting you clearly, which is why I'm asking you the question, who
Uh-huh.
sets the standard? Because in a particular country, let's say here in England, you could even find a pastor or a pastor's wife who would wear shorts, yes? So they're not showing the bum, but they're wearing short shorts because it's summer. They wear flip-flops with shorts and a top, and they could go to the beach or they could go to, just walking in the street. And in that culture, wearing that clothing is not, it's not disgraceful. It's not, you could even find an 80-year-old woman dressed like that. It's not exposing yourself. It's summer wear. It's a summer style or
That is,
summer wear.
yeah,
So that person there, so where's the
yeah,
standard to show them in the gospel that, oh, you shouldn't wear shorts during summer?
yeah, that is what I'm saying. That because a sinner is wearing.
Hello, your line's not coming
And
through.
you two are wearing it. So what is still alcohol? Please, are you getting it?
No, the line broke off. You have to repeat that again, please.
Yeah. So you that you are a pastor's wife or a Christian, you are also wearing short. Whilst the people that they are in the world, they don't know Christ, are also wearing what? Also wearing short. What message are you sending to them? How are you going to transform them? How are you going to change them? It's like a Christian. You say you're a Christian, I don't drink, I don't smoke, and you are selling alcohol to people to drink. Then what message are you sending? Please, are
So
you
that's
getting it?
no, I'm totally getting you. But what I'm trying to explain is that in that particular culture, wearing, even though somebody who's called a sinner is wearing shorts and the pastor's wife is wearing shorts, wearing shorts is not a bad thing. You see, but
No,
obviously
it's wrong.
where you're coming from, you're looking at it as a bad thing because of the difference in culture. But in that society, wearing shorts is like wearing trousers. It's like wearing skirts. It's like wearing a long dress. It's just a piece of clothing, a decent piece of clothing because you're not exposing your buttocks or anything. And the other thing as well is with that, where do you draw the line? Where is it where do you draw the line? Somebody exposing their arms, the arm, your arm, yes?
No, yeah, I know that.
No, you know
I
the arm,
said
yes. Somebody
you
exposing the arm could be seen as inappropriate in one culture, but not in the other culture. So
are.
let's say in Arabia or somewhere like that, a woman exposing her arms could be very offensive. But in Africa, a woman showing her arms, that's acceptable. So therefore, even if a sinner, a so-called sinner or a believer is showing their arms, it's not a bad thing because the culture has accepted that your
You see,
arms are
hello.
a part of the body that you can show. Although your arms could be sexual to somebody else. So showing your arms, somebody might think, wow, I love arms.
No, no, I don't think I had. You see, let's say when talk about sensitive part. Let me carry. So in your arms, you see, when talk of sensitive part deals with your sensitive part deals with your your shape. That is your breast, your hips, your thighs. Those are the sensitive part. Those are your naked parts.
So
I don't
who has defined that is the naked parts?
you. Oh, in reality, yeah, at least in in reality,
Hello?
know that you know that don't you know that your breast, your hips area is your naked
But
part.
but
You know it.
somebody's thighs, somebody's legs and somebody's arms, to some people is not classed as a private part. but to other people, your legs could be classed as a private part. So somebody exposing their legs in one area, it's
I'm talking about
normal.
the towels. That because you see, our this thing comes from your hips or your waist to your knee. Are you getting it?
Hmm.
Yeah. So from your waist to your towels, these are the sensitive part of human being. That's the down part, and the upper part you're talking about from your stomach to your chest level. Please, are you getting it?
Yes, definitely. What about the stomach itself? Because, for example, in Asia, people wear the hari. They wear a cloth in Asia and even in parts of Africa, like in um, certain parts of Uganda. They wear clothes that allow their stomach parts
Yeah.
to be exposed. So
That
women,
is,
the stomach.
you see, that is why I'm. You see, that's why I'm telling you that it is. They call it what culture.
Mm,
Are you getting it? They call it culture. But once you see you are a Christian and you have been transformed from the world, okay, what to the kingdom of God. So those things those things are things that our should I say our forefathers were accepted. That's what they say our culture. You understand? But the culture is the culture bringing good impact in your life, respect to your Christian life or what? Anything that does not pay or that does not what add up to a good moral
mm,
in your Christian life, things that will draw you back from the for the life of Christ, you should ignore it. You understand? Then
yes,
why? Because
that's a very
you call it this is culture.
mm,
You say this is my culture. Then fine. Then they are pouring libation. So why not pouring libation? They when it's time for some. I know my country Ghana for you have some tribe that when it's time for festival, they they pour libation and drink and say, oh now I'm a Christian. I want drink. So I, I want drink. Okay. So why is that when they are pouring libation, you don't go to the shrine? Now you said because I'm a Christian, the shrine is a sin. Yes. So why are you pouring libation now? Why is that when they are going to the shrine, you
can you
don't go?
explain what pouring libation is? Can you explain that so that we learn?
Oh, okay. Libation is like pouring alcohol to that's what they call it. They say ancestors.
Ah, okay, okay. So it's like kind of like a ritual. You pour a little bit to as a sign of respect to the dead or to the ancestors.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So at this
Now,
because at this
yes.
point they are watching what? They are watching like mere men.
Mm,
I get yeah, how can you tell somebody who is dead that you should come and protect you? We
yes.
thank you that you see.
Right.
I
So I'm just reminded, just when you're talking about that, which is quite interesting actually. I'm just reminded by you've heard of the Apostle Paul.
please he said
You've heard of the Apostle Paul, Paul the Apostle.
what apostle?
Yeah. You remember when he was talking about being presented with food, and there are foods that are there that have been offered to idols and whatnot and whatnot.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
he said that, what is an idol after all? If you're serving the true and living God, then even if there are things that have been offered to idols, it shouldn't affect you. But the only reason, just bless it and eat it. The only reason why he would not do something was if it was to cause his brother who hasn't been enlightened and who doesn't have an understanding of,
yeah,
they have their own convictions not based on the word. It seems like their convictions based on their personal views or their personal understanding. That's the only reason when he would abstain from it, just to help that brother or sister who doesn't understand that it is permissible to
yeah,
eat. It is permissible to eat the meat. God doesn't have
yeah,
anything. Yeah, God doesn't have anything wrong with it. It's human beings. We are the ones that have put these standards to say, this is good, this is bad. Paul said, all things are permissible to me, but I won't do all things because not all things are edifying.
Yeah, you have, see, you have answered the question yourself. All things are what we are capable of doing everything we like. We can do everything we want, but as a Christian, not everything that what it is what permissive for you to do it. You understand? You have yourself. Yeah, you can choose to go and hang yourself to do. But are you trying to say I'm going to hang myself? I'm going to kill myself? I'm going to do that? No, you are capable of doing anything, but everything is not everything that what it is good for you, even yourself. It's not everything that is good. How much more what your maker? Are you getting it?
Mhm.
How much more what
So,
because your maker said, "Do not serve any god except what except me."
mhm.
Therefore, abide by my rules and live with so abiding with your maker, and you are talking about this is our culture, the culture who set it up. This is our belief. For us, we do this at this time. We go to the shrine to do this. At this time, we just put on some wrapper on our especially I know in Ghana, for instance, at first there are some tribe they they just put a wrapper on the ladies their waist and that's all. You understand? Now
Sorry,
that culture
can you
is
repeat that? The line broke up. Can you repeat that?
yeah. I'm saying that our maker is saying that we shouldn't what worship any god what except him. Okay, we should not conform ourselves in the things of the world. The things of the world are set what are done what by what a mere man. We should always live our life such a way that we won't be drawn back from the word, from the gospel, from the narrow way.
Hmm.
Okay, all these things are what are set. You know, the reason for the 10 commandments in order to execute, because we have a lot of rules that are not okay, but people are killing. But why did they set that rules? To in order to help man. Please, I hope you are getting me. That's why ever there are laws, rules, and regulation. Abide by it to help you.
So, if I just, we're going to move on just swiftly because we'll probably have about 10 minutes left of this discussion. We're going to move on to, I wanted to drum in on the point of renewing our minds, being transformed by the renewing of our minds. But before we move on to that, if I refer you to, because you've kind of mentioned it, Mark 7 talks about God's laws and human traditions, right?
Yes.
So it talks about, for example, in verse 8, Mark 7 8, it says, "You have stopped following God's commands, preferring instead the man made rules you got from others." Then he said, "You show great skill in avoiding the commands of God so that you can follow your own teachings. Moses said you must respect your father and mother. He also said whoever says anything bad to their father or mother must be killed. But you teach that people can say to their father or mother, 'I have something I could use to help you, but I will not use it for you. I will give it to God.' You are teaching people do that they do not have to do anything for their father or their mothers, so that in essence, if you read the whole passage, Jesus was saying that there are certain traditions that have been passed down from the Jewish traditions of forefathers that have been indoctrinated into the word, inverted commas. So they were doing certain things there that were actually tradition, not the commands of God, but they then had
Yeah.
turned them into, this is what God said you should do. Whereas in
Mhm.
reality, these are the ways of man. They were actually the teachings of man. And God's intention wasn't for that thing to be done in that particular way. But because of culture, because of tradition, because of people's interpretations, those things then become, oh, you shouldn't, let me just give you an example. Oh, you shouldn't smoke, for example, or you shouldn't X, you shouldn't Y. They're more of traditions of men rather than what God specifically had intended for his people. So how, as an individual, how do you differentiate? Because we need to make sure we stick to the topic of clothing. Back again to
Yeah.
the question. Back again to the question from Director Van Crash. How do you distinguish what God's laws are in relation to clothing and what have been man's laws? Man's laws, covered in the term Christianity, because we've used that word quite a bit. But the description of the clothing, is that something that has come from Christ? Or is that something that has been passed down through the tradition of men and wrapped up in the Christianity traditions of men rather than God himself saying, okay, it must reach the knee. It must, you must wear a blouse and not a dress. Because you do realize that there are some churches that do not permit women, for example, to wear trousers, or
Yeah.
do not permit women to wear knee-length trousers. They have to wear the trouser has to touch. I mean, sorry, the skirt has to touch the ground. So
Yeah, that is
who sets the standard of whether it should be knee length or whether it should touch the ground or whether you must wear a dress and you can't wear a skirt? What do you think God's intentions are,
okay,
or
okay.
God's? Yeah, you've got the point. Yeah.
Yeah, I got a point. As you are saying, like there are some churches they have set aside like a dressing criteria that everybody should abide by.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know, some churches did it in order to what, to help their what, their people, or the people that they are preaching the word of God. Because one, you see, when you are in the Bible, a woman should not put on what belongs to a man, and a man shouldn't put on what belongs to what, a woman. Please, are you getting it?
Yes.
So that if you're a man, you are supposed to put on what belongs to a man, and a woman, you are supposed to put on what belongs to what, a woman. Trousers are made for men, not for women.
And what
Please, are
about
you
dress?
getting it?
What about dresses? What about cloaks, like one pieces, dresses, or one piece, or what I can call one piece? Are they made for men or for women?
No, if you can explain it well for me, because I'm not good in the dressing. Some of the names of the.
Okay, what I mean is like an open, where you put your arms in, and then the bottom bit is open. There's no division for legs. It's not a trouser. It's not. So in essence, it's like a kaftan.
So
It
yeah,
it
so
looks
there's
like
no
a dress.
division.
It looks like a
Okay,
dress.
okay. Oh, there's no like division. If there's no division, then it becomes skirt, right? Or a gun.
It becomes a gown. Yes. Hmm.
Uh-huh.
Is that for women?
You see, there's no division. That means it's a gun or a skirt, and a gun or a skirt belongs to what? To women, not what? Not to men.
Okay,
I
so
hope you are
in
getting it.
yes, I'm getting that. So
Yeah.
in
Mhm.
Israel and in Arabic cultures, the men
Yeah.
wear gowns. The men wear kaftans, or even in African cultures, the men wear kaftans that don't have anything separating the legs. So are they doing something wrong by wearing that attire? Because technically you could say
In,
that's a dress.
yeah, yeah, yeah. This is a dress, but those people. You see, what? Let me explain before. You see, those people, they put on that thing in. Unlike we Africans, the men, you see, they'll sew an African wear and make it long. You get it? So the same thing as they is. They don't. They call is it jarabia or whatever? I don't know if I'm right. The jarab. I don't know the right name, but someone who is African, I think will know what I'm talking about. Like what the Muslim put on, like a
Yes,
gown.
yes, like a
Yeah,
kaftan. Yes, yes.
yeah, yeah. You see, they don't. They are. It's like they have sold it in a male. Like they have sold it in a male way, and they wear their, is it a knicker or a trouser what under? Oh, say okay. So this thing have become what their culture.
Mm-hmm.
Are you getting it?
Yes.
This thing what has become their culture, that this what they should abide by it. This what they should follow. And
Mm.
mind you, Muslims do not. Muslims are what do they do not what worship what Christ. I hope you are getting it. Please let's be okay. So
Hello?
that have become what they are what. Yeah, hello.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah, so that has become what their culture that they have what they have set. So because of our time, let me try and what speed fast so that we can run up. So
Yeah.
like what you are asking me, a man, please can you get me?
Yes, yes, I can get you.
Hello.
Yes, I can get you.
Shouldn't put on and a woman shouldn't put on what belongs what to a man. Men are supposed to put on what a trouser. You get it? And a woman is supposed to put on what a gown or what and a skirt. As a woman, when you put on what a clothes or wear either a trouser or sorry, a skirt or a gown, at least your gown should pass your knee, so that when you sit down, it can what it can cover you what well, because women, because of due to some of you your shape, if your clothes does not reach your knee, well, the moment you sit, it will pull up. Pull up. Yes, but is that you see people try, if they're having a hanky, then they try to put it there. Why are they putting there? Because they want to cover that side. Are
So
you
would it
getting it?
so would it not be easier for a woman then to avoid exposing the legs, to cover the legs fully by
That is
wearing
why
trousers?
a trouser, very
because
good.
that's
Good.
because
You
that's
see,
that
you
covers
come
the
by using
legs.
the word trouser. A trouser is for what? It's for for men, not for what? For women. That is why your skirt or your gown should what? Should at least should reach what? Your knee, your knee. You understand? You see, all these things are guidelines to help us in our Christian what? In our Christian journey. Let me remind you that.
So with that,
Okay.
before we had fashion like trousers or skirts or dresses or blouse, or because you remember all these things have been designed, to this is
Yes.
what a dress is, this is what a skirt is. They've all
Yes.
been
Yes.
defined by us human beings. So before we had that, before we had skirts and drawers and whatnot, um, surely the attire that was made, or the attire that we used was non, as you say, if the purpose is just to cover the body parts, right,
Yes. Yes.
then that would be the purpose, to cover the body parts. Later on, we as human beings are the ones that then started to sew clothes with
Yes. To
different
develop.
materials, and put. So I don't think, or I'm wondering, is there anywhere uh, that God Himself has said this particular thing is a man? For example, in India, they would wear they would wear the women would wear baggy trousers underneath a long top. The long top would reach the knees with a slit on both sides, but underneath they would have loose trousers, and that in itself is a woman's clothing. So they're not wearing a man's clothing; they're wearing a woman's clothing, but it includes a
Is it like
covered.
trouser?
Yes, they're trousers, but they're loose. They're very loose. They're like very baggy, and they wear
It's like
they.
yeah,
Mhm.
I understand. You see, it's a trouser, but it's loose. Like it's like a sin. We don't have small sin. We don't have big sin. All sin are what sin. So the father is a trouser. Is a trouser. It doesn't matter either loose or tight. Please,
So that's
I want
my
us to
so
get it.
that's my so that's my point. Who has defined that trousers? The word trousers is something that we have invented, right? Who, because those fashions didn't exist before.
You see,
So who has
yeah,
said that trousers is for man and trousers is not for women?
yeah. You see, the fashions who made all these clothes, all
Yes.
these new clothes, that come, the trousers and the Very good. They made it purposely that these trousers are made for men, because we men, we see the way we are. So that one, easy to move, two, easy to ease ourselves when, if you want to, you get it. Unlike you women that want, especially, excuse me, if you want to ease yourself, you have to what? Have to remove anything. See the way women, people who put on their jeans, and they see the way they suffer if they want to ease. So they have designed it for us such a way that we what very what easy for everybody. I
Okay,
hope you agree.
so yes, I totally get that, and that's a very good point. So then I come back to that issue then. So if it's been specifically designed for women or specifically designed for men, then are you saying that that's acceptable? Because you have trousers that are,
Acceptable.
yeah, you've got trousers that are specifically designed for women, and a man
let,
necessarily wouldn't wear that. And then you have trousers that are designed specifically for men.
let, let me come in here by saying, see, the the way the word is moving him, the devil will find it in every means in order to draw everybody to himself, because he don't want him alone or himself alone to go to the hell of fire, to the hellfire. You're getting it. So any ways that you use to draw people, that is when he begins to make things that, oh, for this one is just for a woman's own. You have gotten it. You see, trying in order to what get people's what attention. You see, there are a lot of things that what Christians who are engaging ourselves, that if we don't take care, we will lose. A lot of Christians will lose what? Will lose what? Rapture. Are you getting it? If you don't take
Mm,
it, if you want to like, oh, oh, that this passion, this is what I've come on. Let me do it. That's why I said, as Christians, we
mm,
have to what? Read the Bible out to understand it what ourselves. When we go
that's
to
very
church
true.
and our pastors preach to us, let us write, go with pen and a paper, write
Mm,
them down. The quotes, write them down. When we come, we read it ourselves.
test it. That's right.
We study the Bible what ourselves.
Hmm.
But so that we go to
So,
what know a lot of what things.
okay, so
Because
let's move swiftly on. But just to wrap that point up there, it seems like you are saying that now that it's acceptable that, for example, um, trousers would be for men, although we haven't really quite worked out who decided that those specific form of clothing is for men and not for women. But um, so you're saying that that is something that would affect somebody's walking with Christ, just to clarify, or not?
he said that would be
Is it something
this,
that would affect somebody's walk with Christ or not?
like somebody who what with Christ will what.
No, no, no.
I'm not
Is
getting.
it is it is it something? Is it an issue, or is it is it something that should affect somebody's relationship with God?
That's why I said it first. It affects somebody's relationship, yes. That's why I said it. Like, one, let me give you, I will post the quotation. I'll send you the quotation so that you can send it, you can forward it for us all to go and read it and to understand it ourselves. When you read it, he said, do not put on what belongs to men, and men do not put on what belongs to what? To women. You understand? Everybody has
Oh,
what? To go by what? His or hers. Please, people, are you following?
definitely.
You
Yeah.
see, we should not
Okay.
cannot argue. Okay, you are not supposed to look at the up because people are doing it, so it is normal. Mind you, a lot of even people that they say they are
Okay.
preachers, they are pastors, they have shops that they sell cigarettes, they sell smoke. Okay, but they are preaching that oh, drinking is not good, and that's why you hear those people saying that oh, drink, but don't drink too much because they know that they are selling it. Okay, please, we should not engage ourselves in things that would draw us back to the world. Let me remind you, the devil is doing all that he can what to draw us what
And
to
I think
draw
that
us
goes,
from
yes, definitely. And I
yes
think that goes back to what we're talking about with Paul. For one person, their conscience didn't allow them to eat meats offered to idol.
yes
But for Paul,
yes
because he was
because
enlightened, because he knew that the God he served was not interested in idols or non-idols, because actually there's no such thing. If you're serving God, you know that God is the extreme. Sorry, is the supreme. For him, for Paul, it would have been acceptable for him to eat something that had been offered to idol.
please make clarification here. Let me make clarification here. You
Hello,
know, yes, hello.
go ahead.
Please let me make
And then we'll
clarification.
quickly
You
move
said
on after you clarify. We'll quickly move on to one last bit, and then we can wrap it up.
okay,
It's been very
okay,
interesting so far.
okay, okay. You see, we he said, "Do not worship any god except me." Please, are you getting people? You understand? So you can't tell me that for me I'm a Christian, and so therefore when they are going, oh, this is just our tradition and I'm supposed to be there. So when they are going to the shrine, you also go with them. Okay, when if they are offering, please let's offer these things to our gods, and you go and offer. Indirectly, you are worshiping that shrine too, because you are providing for that person. So you are worshiping what a man, something that have been that have been offered to what to a ghost, a mere man. We are not supposed. That's to say, we should not engage ourselves what in those things. Now, let me remind you, Apostle Paul, he made a lot of things. Especially, you see, Paul didn't get married. He said, if it will be so, like we want. You see, that's why a lot of our Catholic fathers are following for the posters who are for that so don't get married. But I say, if it is so, it will be possible, like we won't get married. But I know that because we can't. Some of us can. That is, I hope you are getting it. Hello.
Yes, hello.
Yes. So we should not involve ourselves into the worship of something different apart from what our God.
Okay, so I think the passage that I'm talking about is not saying that Paul himself is condoning people worshiping. What he's saying is the opposite, and I'll read it for you because sometimes people, use the Bible quotes without actually reading what it's about. So I'm just going to read it really quickly. It's concerning food sacrificed to idols, and that's in 1 Corinthians 8. So you need to
First Corinthians 8. Yeah, now I'm
need
in
to
my
read
room,
that.
so
You can
let
you
me
can look at
let
that.
me
So that
First
needs
Corinthians 8
8. 1 Corinthians 8. Um, and then
is
if we
food
start
offered
from
to
idols, if we start from 8, he talks about just basically telling them that knowledge puffs up while love builds up. So he's actually trying to tell them this in love. Then 4, 1 Corinthians 8 and chapter 4 says, so then about eating food sacrificed to idols, we know that an idol is nothing at all in the world, and that there is no God
yes.
but one. For even if they're so called gods, as in smaller gods, whether in heaven or on earth, as indeed there are many gods and many lords, yet for us there is but one, the Father, from whom all things came and from whom we live. And there is but one Lord Jesus Christ, through whom all things came and through whom. Now, this is the important bit. But not everyone possesses this knowledge. Some people are still so accustomed to idols that when they eat sacrificial food, they think of it as having been sacrificed to a god,
Yeah.
a smaller god.
Yes.
And since their conscience is weak, it is defiled. But food does not bring us near to God. We are no worse if we do not eat, and no better if we eat. Be careful,
Yeah.
however, that the exercise of your rights does not become a stumbling block to the weak. So, in essence,
Mm-hmm.
Paul knows that what they eat is a food sacrifice to idols. He himself is not worshiping God. So, if we're talking about do not worship anything other than me, Paul by eating an idol is not worshiping God. We're clear on that. Yeah, he's not worshiping God because he knows that there's only one true God. So even if something
Yes.
had been sacrificed to an idol, his knowledge was elevated enough to know that those things are meaningless because there's only one true God, right? But
Yes.
because he's aware and he knows that once he puts it in his mouth, it's going to go through his digestive system, it's going to come out of the other end. He wasn't doing it towards the God, or he wasn't doing it as an act of worship to another God. He only believes in the true and living God. But he's aware that for some people, they're still so ingrained in that culture of the worship of the gods. And as a result
Yeah.
of that, eating that idol, eating that food that has been offered to idol, to them, it is sin. To them, it will weaken, if their conscience is weakened, they feel guilty. Oh my goodness, I ate something that was offered to an idol. Oh no, will God forgive? Do you see what I mean? Eh? So it defiles them,
Yeah.
causes their conscience to be troubled because they've done something that they believe is wrong. But what he's saying is in 8, verse 8,
Yes. Yes.
but food does not bring us near to God, nor worse off if we eat it. And remember, in the Old Testament, there were certain things that the Jews were told not to eat. Remember?
Yes. Yes.
There were certain things that they were specifically told not to eat. Um,
Yeah.
and likewise, here, Paul is saying, well, actually, because of the knowledge that he has now, he knows that even these things that have been sacrificed to idols is nothing. It's not,
Yeah.
but he's just cautious that it can affect his brethren.
Some
Somebody
people.
else who
Yeah.
has a weak, yeah, they will feel guilty because they have eaten it. Now says in 10, for if someone with a weak conscience sees you with all your knowledge eating in an idol's temple, won't that person be emboldened to eat what is sacrificed to idols? So this weak brother or sister for whom Christ died is destroyed by your knowledge. When you sin against them in this way, you would, sorry, you in this way and wound their weak spirit and with their weak conscience, you sin against
Yes.
Christ. Therefore, if what I eat causes my brother and sister to fall into sin, I will never eat meat again, so that I will not cause them to fall. Now, what
Yeah.
there is obviously he's being considerate to other people who that is offensive to. Not because he believes God says he shouldn't do it. He knows that God has
No.
permitted.
No.
But the only
Yeah.
reason why he's put those restraints on himself is because he's thinking of somebody else who could be really damaged or destroyed by it. So likewise, when God looks at us as human beings, I'm sure there are lots of things that we as human beings have put as barriers, or we've put as restraints, we've put as sin, or we've put as different things. And God looks at it and says, this is taking away from what I've even called you to do. I've called you to love me and to love others. And you're focused, and you might be focused on whether I put my hat sideways or whether
Yeah.
I put my hat to the left. Is it facing the north? Is it facing the south? Is it facing the moon? You know how human beings, we can come up with certain rules and that God Himself has not specifically said, point your hat
Yeah.
point your heart to the south so that when you're praying to me, your prayers are answered. But if you know that this is something that really, really, really touches a dear brother or sister of yours, and that for them, it's so important, instead of just kind of dismissing them and say, oh yeah, but that's foolishness, why are you following those old traditions of the forefathers? It was passed down. The reason why you adapt your behavior is to be considerate to that brethren, not because God Himself has told you that it's good or bad. You get my point, yeah?
Very, very good.
So now
Very,
moving
very clear.
bit, just one last bit before we move on, is how can people renew? We talked about renewing your mind, be transformed by the
Yeah.
renewing of your mind.
Yeah.
You might have a naked man or a naked woman, and there
Yes.
could be a female doctor who
Yes.
sees a naked man, and a surgeon operating on this
Yes.
man who comes in. They've been in an accident and they operate
Mhm.
on the naked man, so they get to see the whole part of this man. Now, this female
Yes.
would preferably, or you'd assume that they wouldn't look at this patient sexually. They would look at them
Uh, yeah.
biologically. They need to
Yes.
cut the tummy, they
Yeah.
get inside and fix whatever they're fixing.
Yeah.
Now, how can we merge those two realities, that there's somebody who would see a naked man or woman, and
Yeah.
and to them it is sin because they've seen their naked body, and it's
Yes.
bad. But then somebody else,
Yeah.
the same situation, they see this
Yes.
naked person, but to them
Yeah.
it's normal. It's not sin because they need to see their body. They need to check their testicles to see if there's cancer, or they need to check if it's a male doctor, he needs to touch
Yes.
the patient's breast to see if there's any abnormality or whatever. So how can we as human beings adapt the essence of being transformed so that when we go to different parts of the world, we are able to walk blameless before God and not sin in our hearts
What?
because we've seen somebody who's exposing their arm or their
Yeah.
toenails or their legs or their buttocks or their bum or whatever. How can you encourage people to transform and renew their own mind, so regardless of how people are dressed, they can still treat that person with respect, they can
Yes.
communicate with that person without judgment, without
Yes.
themselves being affected negatively
Yeah.
spiritually? How can you
Yeah.
encourage?
Okay. Now, these two questions. So, let me explain. Um, the other one before I came to the doctor. I'll come to the doctor's own. Now, let let me make this one clear that when we accept Christ as our personal savior who came to die and we turn away from our sin, okay, this journey is a very long journey, a narrow way. Ima- it's like a small path, especially we that we are from Africa and we have seen a lot of bushes. You know how we are passing through a bush and the road is not broad. You see how you suffer. So this is how Christianity road is. So you can't do it by your strength. That is why he said, always pray for the grace of God. Okay. Always you pray that God help me, give me the grace to stand, give me the grace to overcome all what temptations, so that I will not what I will not fall. When you always when you pray for this kind of prayer always, and it is one deal with what self-discipline. Self-discipline. Now you can't do it by your strength. That is why you pray for the grace of God. I hope
Yes.
so it will be easy for somebody who is fervently in the Lord to just to just fall. You see, anything that can lead you to sin, you have to do it that way. That is why there's a part say if it's your right hand who prevents you, you have to cut it. If your right hand is disturbed, you cut it off. Doesn't mean you should go and cut your hand. Means something that will prevent you to the kingdom of God. You have to to cut it off. That is when Paul said, for this is not because there's nothing in idols. When I eat it, nothing will happen to me because there's only one God. But because he was thinking of his brethren, because they don't have knowledge about it. So that is why he made it that and I eat so that sake of my brethren. So because of that, his fellow brethren to sin because they don't have not much knowledge into it. That is why he cut that thing off. So I'm coming to renewal of mind. So renewing your mind, you can't do this by your mind. You can't do this by your will. You do it by the what? By the help of God, but always praying that God should give me the grace to stand. Then you have to be self what? Discipline. Discipline yourself. What? As a Christian, you've got to discipline yourself in a way that you seeing what? The nakedness of a woman. You see,
Mm-hmm.
say, the Bible says the moment fornication is not only by having the sexual intercourse with the woman, no, or the man, no. The
Mm-hmm.
moment you see the person nakedness, or not even the naked, but the moment you see the person and you fall deep inside your heart and your mind that this person, if I get at that instant you have fall. Are you getting it?
Mm-hmm.
The moment you see the person and you start begin to think about if I get such a person on my bed, and the moment you start thinking on sexual with that person, and that time what you have fall. So you have to what? Discipline yourselves. Somebody who have to discipline himself on something, always waiting fervently for God, praying for God for mercy. Whenever you see a woman naked, because seeing the woman naked can lead you to it. So the moment you see, just you will not even look at it, just flashes. The moment the eye see, just what? Remove it and what? Go his way. So it's like somebody who have visited a woman in a room, a bedroom, and there's nobody there. The person is not your wife or just a friend. Now, at the instant, how will you discipline yourself? If you yourself you think you can't stand it, you can't hold it, I'm easy to fall when I'm
Flee.
alone with the woman.
Yeah.
Okay, you know yourself. Now,
Mm.
when you identify yourself, how can I deal with it? Then it's better I will not be in this room alone with this person. I have to be in an open place. It can be like a hall or something, not in a bedroom, where a place that in a dark that what I can easy try to what to fall with what such a person. So what you try to what separate yourself, you run away from it.
Mm.
That doesn't mean that you can't have a female friend, no, but you should not be what in a closed area because you know yourself.
Mm. So I think you've raised a good point there. So it's that individual person knows what's in their own heart, what they can, what how they see the situation.
Yes,
So for somebody
yes,
else, they might be in the a room, and for them they're not thinking about anything sexual. They're not thinking. They might have gone there for I don't know, family reunion or something like that. But for somebody else, even if they're in an open space, in their hearts they could
yes,
be
yes.
lusting, they could be lusting for that person. So
You see that?
with the renewing of your mind, I guess it doesn't really matter what the other person is doing. It's about allowing the Holy Spirit to change you from inside out, so that regardless what is happening externally in the world, you'll be able to withstand, because for you yourself, you've
You
aligned
yourself have to
You've aligned
yourself.
yourself, exactly. You've aligned yourself to be able to withstand that. So thank you very much. Anyway, I think that would be the last sort of section to cover there, and
Then to the doctors part,
especially say that again. Oh yes, to the doctor's
to the
part.
doctors, to the doctors part. A doctor is somebody who have been trained, okay, to work on things like this. So the moment the doctors are aware, the moment they see it, it is nothing to them. Now, I have some doctor who used to rape patients and the rest. I mean,
Exactly.
it is that person himself or herself that one we call what last.
Hmm.
The person what last has led him.
Correct.
Yes, that
Which is
that
why
is.
which is why it happens in both ways. Even someone who is not a doctor can look at somebody
Yes, yes,
biologically rather than
yes.
sexually, and even somebody who is a
Very,
doctor can look at somebody sexually rather than biologically.
very.
It's all about the heart, which no one can see
So
apart
it is so no. Please let me make it clear. So this one deals with what self-discipline. Okay, self-discipline, and self-discipline always you have to what be prayerful. Okay, to overcome temptation. Okay, you can't do it if it's left with your own knowledge. You can't.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so always have to be prayerful and always seek in the face of God. And God should give you the grace to always what stand, to always what overcome
Yeah.
all this temptation. Because me, for instance, a doctor, I I will not see a woman with nakedness, or if somebody that I'm not operating on or working on, and because I know myself that the moment I see her, I will fall. The moment my eye just flash on, I'll just what discipline myself by what removing my eye from it, my mind from it. I won't
Mm-hmm.
concentrate. I hope you are getting it.
Yes. Last
So
question. So if somebody is dressed in a like if somebody is dressed in a way that you think is not decent or like exposing themselves, how would you treat them if they're in your presence?
oh, you can't say because you have dressed so uh to let's say reject the person or ignore the person. The person doesn't know. That is why you are there to let the person know. I hope you so you
Mm-hmm.
can't say because of that the person is coming to you, ignore the person. Oh no, for you, you are not a child of God. You are Satan. Look at the way you have dressed. No. Now ask yourself. You see, these people what can't stand dressing what to church. Have we asked ourselves why is that they can't send it to church? Because they themselves don't know that this is not what right. I hope you are getting it. They
Yes,
themselves what
definitely.
they know that this is not what right. Why is
Mm.
that they can't send it to the presence of God? Because they know. I hope you are getting it. So you
Yes.
can't because of this person is doing this. So no, the person doesn't know that the love that God said what to love our neighbors as what loving your neighbor what that your enemy. You love what your enemy. How do you love your enemy? He hates you without saying you should go and hate him what back, head back. But you what be what be so excuse me. You have to be what wise when dealing with such a person who won't hate you. But what you love him? How do you love the person? Because this is my enemy, I will never talk to him. I will never talk to him. Something I won't do. No, you are playing back.
Mm.
I hope you're getting it.
I
And
think those are very
I
nice,
yeah, I heard
very wise words to
yeah,
end on. Very wise words to end on. We love our enemies. I think the Bible says, "Pray for those who persecute you."
yes.
So,
And you
yes. Hello, hello.
you were saying a woman who is naked and couldn't now hello, hello,
Can you repeat that?
hello.
What did you say?
Yes, you said something that when people see someone because the person is naked, he couldn't control himself and he went to rape the person. Like that's how raping is what increasing. I heard something like that overhead. That's when we started. You see, the Bible said for the temptation to come, but the one that pass through to come, that person should be careful.
The one that
So
what? I can't hear what you're saying. The one that.
for the temptation, it will come. Like Christ, the main purpose for Christ to come to this earth is what to die.
No. So what did you say? What did you say before about the raping? I didn't. I missed that.
Yeah, I said you raise a point that the fact that the person has exposed herself doesn't mean that you should go and rape the person.
Mm-hmm.
You read that. Yes, you see, for the temptation will come, but you who that the temptation will pass through to come should be very what careful. You get it. The Messiah came to die for us. Okay, but you they use it what do you call it, one of his what his disciples fall into that and they what then they pass it through him to get the Messiah. I hope you are getting it. Please, are you getting my point? Hello.
Yes. So
I don't, I don't know
it,
if you are getting.
it's
So
mhm.
yeah. So because because people, some people, the moment they see the naked part of a woman, they are easy to fall, and it can lead, because when the guy have been seeing you exposing yourself like that, one day you were thinking of what, having an affair with him, he might what, rape you. You yourself have caused that rape, even though it's sin, it's not good. I rebuke that. I'm not saying the raping is good. No. But through your what, through yourself, the way you have carried yourself, have led you to the person what to rape you. Could you be exposing yourself to? I hope you are getting me.
I can hear what you're saying, and
Yeah.
what I'm picking up from that is that if somebody dressed in a particular way, that they are in essence encouraging somebody with an evil mind to attack them. Now, my question to you then is, how do you know what will cause that person with an evil mind to attack you? For example, some people have foot fetishes. They like seeing women's feet. So a woman could be totally covered from head to toe, and her feet, she's wearing sandals, and she walks past the person who loves and has a foot fetish, who gets aroused, who finds her in a place, somewhere, and attacks her because of that. So are you can you see my point? So in that situation there, surely we should be addressing the issue that regardless of however somebody is dressed, whether they're naked or they've got their foot out or their shoulder out or the whatever has attracted the man to this person, surely we should be encouraging the person who is committing the crime, that regardless of how somebody is dressed, whether they're naked,
Yes, yes.
whether they're half clothes,
Supposed to.
you
You are
have
not
no
supposed.
right. You have no right
Yes, there.
to use that as an
One is there.
excuse to
Yes, that
as an
one is
excuse
there. But
to
I'm saying, yeah, I'm saying that, the more you are, it's like raping, or raping increases due to those kind of acts. Those kind of acts is a factor that makes that
I,
lead
I
to what, rapings.
I wonder whether
But the
that's true or not. I wonder whether that's true or not, because even in the times of the Bible, the rape was there. Even in the times of the Bible, rape was there, and I don't
it
think that.
is there. It's a
Yes.
factor. But regardless of how the person look or how the person dress, doesn't lead you
Yes.
to go and rape. No. When you read the law have to deal with you.
So exactly. So in essence, regardless of how somebody is dressed, they might be in the swimming pool. They might be wearing a swimming costume. You wouldn't ask somebody to wear
So
uh, a dress and a wrapper and a head tie to go swimming. So in that
mhm.
situation, there you have people around you who, regardless of what you're wearing, whether you're fully clothed or you're half naked or whatever, because of what's inside them, that's what would cause them to go on to commit a
So
crime of rape.
yeah, it all comes in about the renewal of mind.
Correct. But I just
Okay,
wanted to
it all comes in.
clarify that point, because I think it's very important to highlight that it's not the
The re-
victim's fault. Regardless of what they're wearing, nobody has a right to forcefully. Uh,
no, no, not,
exactly.
not,
Yeah.
not,
But then
not.
sometimes we get into this culture where, whether with the police or whatever, we say, well, what were they wearing? What time of night were they walking? Were they doing something that meant that the person should have raped them? And I think we need to be clear on getting that message out to people who have the tendency to want to rape people, is that they have no
You
right,
should.
regardless
No,
of.
right.
Yeah, because there are people that rape babies, and are we going to say that
No,
we should not change the baby's diaper because we might allow somebody to see the
but
privates and get
I'm saying,
aroused?
yes, yes, yes. I said that I said that one too is a factor that can lead to what, to raping. Okay, exposure is a factor that can lead to what, raping. I say it's part, but that doesn't mean Please, do you get my point? Well,
I get your point, but
yeah,
in that situation, the factor is not based on the external party. The factor is based on the fact that that individual is a person that has a tendency to commit a crime like rape. Because
yes, yes.
if the same person was stood in front of a different man, then regardless of how they were dressed, that man themselves would not even consider raping them, even if they
No,
were.
no, 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 no.
But so I think the emphasis needs to be on the perpetrator to say,
Ye-
regardless, we're not giving you an excuse to say, oh, they were wearing a tight skirt, that's why I raped them. They were wearing, good makeup, that's why I raped them. We should make it very clear that it's because of who you are that meant that you took that step to violate that person's body, not because of what they
Yes,
did.
yeah, but yes. Please,
So
I
no,
said that for
there's
a point. But
yeah,
regardless of anything that can or that should not lead you to go and what to commit that crime. It's a crime.
correct,
Raping
correct,
is a crime.
correct. Yeah,
Having sexual intercourse by forcing. It's even your own wife. When you force your own wife to have
it's
sexual
rape.
intercourse, you've raped her.
Correct, correct. So I think there's been a very interesting discussion. And just to summarize, we've heard from Dr. William here that regardless of culture, there's certain things that are sort of that he believes are derived from Christ that would mean that people should dress a certain way. Discussions have come in from the chat box to say that culture should have an impact and should be considered. Another message there talking about where does the Bible, or what does the Bible have to do with dress code? We've talked about how we can renew our minds and look at people in such a way that wouldn't cause offense or wouldn't cause lust, but also that it's a responsibility of people, Dr. Williams said, to have self-discipline. So to have self-discipline within yourself to make sure that you are not doing things that are contrary to your faith or contrary to harming yourself or others. But ultimately, one thing that I like that Dr. Williams said was that we need to love people and even love our enemies. And as a result of that, regardless of how somebody is dressed or what they're wearing, we still need to show them, treat them as a human being, as a person, and show them love. That's what we've been called to do. So thank you very much, Dr. William, for joining me today. And I hope I've put the link for your video down below. I hope it's been an interesting discussion for yourself. I've certainly had fun talking with you. Hello, still there? So you're still there, but I can't hear any sound coming through. So hopefully you've had a lovely time having this discussion, and we've gone around and talked about different things. And takeaway from today is love your enemies and love your neighbor as well as you'd love yourself. So take care for now, and hopefully you'll be joining me again discussing with another person who's made an interesting video, and we will be able to delve into another topic. Thank you for joining me, everyone who's come on. Remember to subscribe to A Producer's Life in Uganda and hit the notification bell so that you know whenever I'm going live or whenever I have posted a video. Take care for now. Keep on spreading the love. Bye.